How hard a decision was this? How much back and forth did you go? Like, I'm staying, I'm leaving, and when did you ultimately make the decision? And then how did you let Eric and the coaches know?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not an easy decision, and it's definitely not one to be rushed, as you've seen. I just made my decision on Saturday, so I was just really trying to get a feel for the process. I really appreciate all the teams that got in contact with me, got a lot of good information, and at the end of the day, I felt like the best decision was to come back to school. And I told Coach Musk about a week ago, so they were pre-informed on the situation. But I think one of the toughest parts was, it's during this COVID time, the things that we could only do was like interviews over Zoom. We weren't able to do like face-to-face or workouts or anything. So that's one thing that was really, really tough in the process, but nevertheless, it was really good though.
Well, how close did you come to staying in the draft, and what was the determining factor or factors that led you to decide to come back to Arkansas?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too many details on the reasons why, but after weighing our options, the pros and cons of staying, the pros and cons of going, we just had a big sit down with my family. We talked for about 3 hours, just trying to figure out what we can do, because at the end of the day, we felt that whether I stayed or went, the decision would have been good either way. So right now it's just about getting the best opportunity I can possibly.
Okay, thanks. If you got time, come back, but if not, I understand.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Kevin?
Isaiah, your best basketball last season was really played in SEC play when you were healthy. 9 games when you were actually healthy and on the court, and Arkansas went 6-3 in those. You averaged over 20 points, about 38% from three, only missed one free throw, right around 98%. Do you think that now being 2 years through this SEC cycle and playing at this level and having that kind of performance when you were healthy, do you think that springboards you for a big junior season and help you not only maybe accomplish things at Arkansas, but help set yourself up for the next go-around with the NBA draft?
Yeah, so and I would say overall I've had a pretty successful college career, and like you said, during those healthy games, had really big games. We had a really good record. I think the team was rolling during that time. But yeah, I think I've set myself up to have a big season, be able to put my name higher on draft boards and things of that sort. But right now, the main focus is, we got the task at hand is getting to play some games and having a good season.
One more. I'm going to have a
hello. It's the Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ 479. And boy, do we have a show for you guys today as we let you hear audio from the man, the guy that everybody's been waiting to find out what he was going to do. Isaiah Joe will be returning for his junior season on what I consider to be a very talented basketball team. Demetrius, what you think real quick before we get this lineup set up that I'm so excited about today?
It's a lot of talent, but it's even more pressure now. With Isaiah coming back, I think it's definitely raised the expectations for the men's basketball team, and not only the men's basketball team, Musselman, just with his second year being the head coach. Man,
we're going to talk a little basketball, but we're going to Hawkeye segment. We're going to go over to the neighborhood, and we're going to talk to a 2022 young lady that has just been offered, and boy, I'm talking about this lady can hoop all the way from Pennsboro, Pennsylvania, Pennsbury High School, I should say, in Pennsbury, Pennsylvania. I made a snafu there. Ava Ciola, she'll be on here shortly. The guard that can do it all. She'll tell us her interest in the University of Arkansas and what it felt like to get that Hogs offer. She's got a special family member that's a longtime Razorback fan, and we'll talk to her about that as well. And then we're going to follow up. Arkansas is getting ready to start SEC football, but a lot of the fall sports had to wait for some of the decisions that came down. We'll get in touch with the new anchor of Pig Trail Nation, Alyssa Orange. She'll be joining us at 1:30, and then following up Alyssa, our good buddy from Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Yep, Scotty Borland. He's going to talk more on the big decisions in football and expectations for this new basketball team with Isaiah Joe on the roster. All that's coming up. So, D, you ready? I'm ready. Let's get it going. It's On the Hill, and it's the Wednesday edition on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
The coaching staff and all of the NBA experience and professional experience that the Arkansas staff has,
what did that mean to you in terms of making the decision, and how big of a factor do you think that'll be for you as you prepare for the upcoming season?
Yeah, we have our coaches. I mean, they're a variety. You know, they come from all different places. They all have NBA background, whether they coached or played. And so they really have a lot of information and a lot of things that I can use in my game to really help me get to that next level. So I feel like staying is kind of almost being in the league in a way, because I feel like it's a great training ground with the knowledge that they have and that they're able to, you know, drop down to us. Yes, sir.
Scotty? Yeah, Isaiah, I'm curious if you got a feel for the kind of the buzz and the excitement for the upcoming season, you know, after you made your announcement on Saturday.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, I'm curious if you got a sense for the buzz and the excitement for next season after your announcement.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of buzz, and when I made my announcement, I feel like a lot of people were really happy. The state, my coaching staff, my teammates, my family, it's me especially. I mean, I feel like, you know, we made a lot of buzz, and now, you know, just time to perform. Like I said earlier, hopefully we get to play some games, but yeah, I feel like the buzz is going to carry a long way.
I guess just in your opinion right now, I know we're still several months from what would be the start of the season, but what do you think expectations should be for you guys?
I don't have, you know, enough information, you know, speak on that, but I think the main thing is your teams, you know, being responsible, making sure they're doing their social distancing, and try not to, you know, have a lot of contact during these practices, or if anybody's practicing. I think we'll be able to have a good amount of games. So I think the main thing right now is, you know, just staying safe during this process, trying not to rush anything.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hayden?
Hey Isaiah, how are you, man? I'm just kind of curious, maybe some conversations you had with the new guys that have been in with Moses and Devontae and all these other guys who call the state of Arkansas home just like you do, and how much they kind of, maybe not convinced you, but really wanted you to come back and be a part of this team.
Oh yeah, so those are my guys.
Edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ 479. And real quick, before we get to our special guest, I want to give a shout out to the people that make this possible. Our sponsors, Lindsay and Associates, Locomotion, Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and KDK's Chicken. I want to give a thank you to all those sponsors that make it possible. And now on to our Hall Guy segment. You know, Arkansas, each and every one of those programs on Razorback Road are looking for elite basketball or elite talent. And Coach Neighbors is no different. As we're going to talk a little bit of neighborhood, as we're going to bring on all the way from Pennsbury, Pennsylvania, Pennsbury High School, new Arkansas offer from Coach Mike Neighbors, 2022 guard, Ava Ciola. Ava, welcome to the Hill.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ava, talk about the recruiting process. You going into your junior year. I mean, you've been in the spotlight for basketball for quite some time now. Talk about, you know, how you're able to handle it. And then the second part of that question, Ava, is Arkansas comes out with the offer less than 24 hours ago. Talk about that conversation and, you know, what was it like with Coach Neighbors and what was said when that offer came about?
So the recruiting process for me has definitely picked up a lot in the last 6 months. I've talked to more coaches than I ever had before in quarantine because none of us had much to do, so I was just on the phone a lot every day. I've been blessed to have a lot of great conversations with a lot of great coaches and programs. And a couple months ago, I started talking to Coach Neighbors. And after my last tournament, I was told to give him a call, and I did. And we had a good conversation. We talked about Arkansas. And then yesterday, I had to give him a call again, and we were having a great conversation, and he said, all right, I'm just going to stop and cut to the chase. I'm offering you. And obviously, it's an SEC school that's offering me, so That's a great honor, and I was extremely excited. And I know that he's a great coach, and Arkansas is a great place to be, so it was very exciting for me, and I was very blessed to be able to get that offer from him.
Now, you're in a house right now, Ava, where it's a very unique situation. We spoke last night, and there's a a unique situation that your dad is a big time Razorback fan, and when you told me that last night, I'd asked, had you guys ever been to Arkansas? Talk about how excited your father was. I mean, he's your high school coach and a big time mentor for yourself there in Pittsburgh. Talk about how excited he was.
So yeah, like you said, he's a massive Razorback fan, and nobody around here is, because we're in Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia, so everyone focuses on Temple or Pitt. So we are certainly oddballs here, but we have our Razorback flag and we show it proudly. So when I found out that I was going to be talking to Coach Neighbors, he was excited for me. One, because it's an SEC school, and two, because it's Arkansas. So when I was offered by him, he was obviously extremely excited. I mean, I ran in and told him, and him and my mom were a little bit emotional, but we just both were really excited and acknowledging how blessed that I am that I'm even in this position to talk to Coach Neighbors.
Off the top of your head, if you can name a few other schools right now that have offered and shown what we call in the Twitter world a lot of love, Ava, who are some of those schools?
I've also been offered by St. John's and Maryland, which are two schools, and then I have a bunch of others in the Philadelphia area and throughout Ohio. So I have St. Joe's, Drexel, I have Fordham in New York City, I have a couple Patriot League schools, I have Dayton. So I'm blessed that I'm talking to a lot of different people right now, yes.
Now, your dad is a very legendary high school basketball coach in the state of Pennsylvania. Talk about, just what a privilege and a pleasure it's been to have your dad go on this journey with you through your high school career, and how that's going to prepare you even more when you get to your Power 5 school of choice.
So yeah, like you said, my dad is very well known in our area of Pennsylvania for being a coach. It's difficult to walk into a Wawa or to the seats without somebody coming up to him and having a conversation about basketball. So I know that in Pennsylvania, at the high school level, I really can't get anybody better. And I really can't be in front of anyone that can prepare me to play at the top level any more than he can. So every day, he gives me a new piece to go forward in my game, whether that's an intelligence piece on the court or a different drill or just getting myself ready in life to be a college athlete. So he's helping me a lot, and I wouldn't be where I am at all without him.
What are some of the things, Ava, that you feel good right now in your game, and what were some of the things that when you went back and watched film of the past season that you've been in the lab working on to make even better for this upcoming junior year?
So I feel like the best part of my game is my versatility and the way that I see the floor. I'm able to play multiple different positions, which helps me get on the floor more. It gives me more opportunities to be there, and I'm very confident in my shot. I mean, I rep it every single day, and that's been the number one piece of my game for the last 2 years. And after looking at film from my high school season and previous AAU games, I knew that I needed to get faster and stronger to be able to guard people at the highest level. So that's what I tried to do. And I mean, I go to a trainer to lift, and I do agility stuff and jump rope almost every day. And I've definitely seen a pickup in my defensive abilities and performance in these recent AAU games because of that.
You play in a very big-time circuit, the EYBL for girls basketball. You play with the Philly Bells. Talk about that culture and how that's helped you. I know you've been with them for the last 2 years, but talk about how that's also, too, being able to play at that level going to help prepare you for the next level.
So the Bells is a family. We are a bunch of high-level basketball players that love to game, and we love each other. So it's almost like a college setting because we're all coming from different places. I mean, there's some girls on my team that travel 2+ hours to get to practice. So we're all coming in because we love the game of basketball, because we can play it pretty well, and we love each other, and we work hard, we play together. So it does give a little bit of a college vibe. It gets us ready to play at the highest level because we're under people that run the program, like Mike Flynn, who has been in the game forever and has given us unbelievable opportunities. So it gets us ready, and I think that it has put me in a position to be blessed, to be having this conversation right now and to be talking to all these schools.
Hey, but who are some of those girls or women, or ladies, I should say, that you like to watch at the collegiate or WNBA level, or overseas for that matter? They play basketball over there too. I mean, who are some of those players that you watch?
My favorite player in the WNBA is Elena Delle Donne. She's been my favorite since I watched her at Delaware. I love all the different things that she can do. I mean, she obviously brings elite passing and finishing and shooting to the table at 6'6", which is something you don't see very often.
Right.
And as a person, she's a role model, and my dad and I follow her, so I love watching her play, yeah.
Well, tell the listeners something that they may not know about Ava Ciola that you'd like to share.
If I'm not playing basketball, I'm probably just reading a book in my house, which is my go-to hobby other than picking up a ball and dribbling.
Now, if I come to the gym there in Pennsbury and I got my popcorn, my 20-ounce cola, balls thrown up, Ava, for 4 periods, when I leave there, what am I going to write on my notes about what type of basketball player I witnessed in Ava Ciola?
You're probably going to write down that you see a girl who gives a lot of good passes and makes some big-time shots and gets everybody together. I like to make sure that everybody that watches me while I'm playing the game of basketball takes something positive away, whether that's my leadership skills or my actual performance where I'm shooting and passing the ball.
I like that. Now, what's the pregame thing you like to do? What's the superstitious thing that Ava does before every game? What is that?
My superstition is that I have to have 2 braids in my hair every single time. I need to have them so I can go out into the court. It's my signature look, and it also calms me down to have it done.
Yeah, I know you told me you run your hair through your hand through it, and after that, it's all
Yes.
go. But now let's have a little fun with everybody. Know we're talking with Ava Ciola, a 2022 guard, was recently offered by Coach Mike Neighbors and the women's basketball program there at Arkansas. She's out of Pennsbury, Pennsylvania, Pennsbury High School. Now, Ava, you and I, we riding around Pennsbury. We in the car. You with the OG. What's the first 5 songs on the playlist?
Okay, so we have If I Ruled the World by Nas.
Okay.
We got Hypnotized and Juicy by Biggie.
Okay.
Probably Star by Brockhampton, which talked about a new one.
Okay.
Let's see what else. I probably put on a little bit of Rihanna.
Whoa.
I like to sing a little bit. You get jammed to that.
Okay.
I'll give you a couple different things. I like R&B, I like rap, so I would switch it up. I'd keep you entertained.
What was that one song? What's that one guy you like to listen to get you hyped before every game?
I listen to Wu-Tang a lot before I play.
Ooh, that's a baller. Only the
Yeah.
ballers get to listen to Wu-Tang. I'm telling you. You got to know
Yeah.
that you can handle your business when you listen to Wu-Tang. But I want to thank you, Ava, for taking time out. And, I'm going to make a statement, if you would, just finish this up for me. But when basketball is done with, you'll play collegiate at the Power 5 level, go on and realize the dream at the WNBA. Then that day happens, the ball goes flat, and it's time to put the shoes, the shorts, and the jersey up in the locker room. What's life looking like after basketball for Ava Ciola of Pennsbury, PA, Pennsbury High School?
Life is looking like me in law school, getting my law degree, and then taking that into Washington, D.C. and becoming a politician. That's the ultimate goal.
I like that, man. The conversation we had, Demetrius, I'll tell the listeners, I had a good political conversation with this young lady, and if the younger generation has her types of views, hey, we're in great hands for the future going forward. And whatever school gets you, Ava, they're getting a baller and, like I said, a great person to go along. And, hey, let's have some Ava Ciola updates when the basketball season kicks off. You down with that?
Yes,
Hey,
absolutely. I will update
Our
you.
line is your line, and this show is your show. And, hey, have a great junior year. Congratulations on yet another big-time offer, and thanks for taking time out today on OTA.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That was Ava Ciola, big-time 2022 guard out of Pennsbury, Pennsylvania, Pennsbury High School. Was recently offered by Coach Mike Neighbors, and I'm talking about a girl can flat out get it. I'm talking about flat out get it, Demetrius.
Definitely, one thing I will say about Neighbors teams is you're seeing them get a lot bigger. I think that's really an emphasis in the SEC.
Right.
I guess you should say conference. That's a lot of things that you hear: speed, strength, and size. And I think now you're really starting to see that on the women's basketball team because over the years they've had a team full of guards, and they were forced, the tallest guard to play that center or power forward role. But now you're actually starting to see them, get those 6-foot guards, those 6'4" power forwards or shooting guards. So it's exciting to see.
The areas that Arkansas is able to recruit under Coach Neighbors are getting in Minnesota, Destiny Oborg. They've gotten in Maryland. with Michaela Daniels, and now if they were to have some success in Pennsylvania, it goes to show the brand and the reach that they're starting to have on the national scene. With more success comes more doors and more phones that'll be picked up. And I mean, if you get girls like this is an EYBL program in the Philly Bells that I'm talking about. When we say elite, these are McDonald's All-American kids, and I'll be shocked if Ava Ciola is not a McDonald's All-American 2 years from now. We're not watching her, but we've got to get on because we got more to talk about. Arkansas's football will be on, and then let's talk about the decision with Isaiah Joe coming back to play for the Must Bus with Alyssa Orange, the KNWA anchor. She's up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
The ones that are really cool outside of the court, and the whole team is that way. We're a brotherhood, and everybody's really excited that I'm back, and so now it's just time to put it out on the court and have that good chemistry.
As far as a leadership standpoint goes, you're going to be the veteran on this team, you and Desi for sure. How much have they talked to you about expectations? And I'm sure at the same time, since you played with Muss last year and you've been here the longest, just what your leadership means to those guys when expectations are probably going to be as high as they've been in 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, we do have to pick up that leadership role. I mean, you got to have the leaders on the team to have a successful season. But at this point, our culture is everybody is a leader in their own way, whether it's vocal or leading by example. Everybody's a leader. So the more leaders you have on a team, the more successful that you can be, but you definitely have to establish that.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Nikki, did you have anything?
This has its own magic.
It's tough when you see a young person on a Zoom call and not be able to figure out how to unmute. That's
tough. I understand.
I'm sorry. I have two screens going and I couldn't get my mouse over. I'm good, Kyle. Move on, please.
All right. Trey Biddy.
Hey, Isaiah. Hey, I was curious. You talked about some of the, the in-state guys that you're familiar with and stuff, but what about this entire roster with the sit ones last year? Obviously, Iola's not going to be able to play. It's unfortunate, but the sit one guys, the grad transfers you added, and the freshmen, how much did the idea that you guys might be able to do something special with this team play into you coming back?
Yeah, so I do think it's really exciting being able to play with a lot of new faces. Like, we had the sit-outs last year that haven't had a chance to touch the floor, and they will this year. And then we had the grad transfers. And I think it's really exciting, getting to know the new people coming on and getting to play on the court with the guys that didn't get to play last year, along with the the grad transfers and the freshmen. So it's always a good thing to see a team succeeding that way. Like I said, it's gonna be exciting, for all of us to get out on the court and show what we do best. I really feel like we have great talent this year, and we have a really high ceiling.
With this being such a difficult decision, coming all the way down to the wire for you, do you think that this might have been different had we not been in a global pandemic and you would have been able to work out and stuff? Do you think your decision could have been different?
Yeah, but only there's no way to really tell that, but it definitely would have played a bigger role if we didn't have this pandemic. Like I said, we would probably still be having NBA workouts. Things wouldn't be getting postponed as much. The draft would have been back in June, so and we wouldn't have been sitting here, just doing Zoom meetings all the time. But so that definitely would have.
Welcome back. It's the Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ 479, and we're joined now by the new anchor of the Peak Trail Nation and KNWA and KARK, Alyssa Orange. What's going on, AO?
Hey, Pat, I missed you. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I've been in a little quarantine, social distancing, so to speak. But how you been doing? You moved up in the world a little bit since I last saw you.
Well, thank you. It's a nice transition. Of course, everyone who asks me, how's it going? I'm like, well, so far it hasn't been different because there's no sports.
Which way?
But in all honesty, very blessed because I know in the situation we're living in right now in 2020. A lot of really good people in the sports world are having to be let go because there haven't been sports, and to be able to have a promotion during COVID in 2020. Really blessed.
Right. Now, which leads me into Arkansas Razorback football. The SEC came out last Friday and announced, or last Thursday, I should say, with a 10-game all-conference schedule. Alyssa, where are you at, and how do you feel about that? Is that something that gets you excited, or what say you on that decision?
Yeah, we expected it, but I do have to tell you, I was really disappointed the SEC didn't go down the road the ACC did and do that +1 non-conference game. Obviously, for personal reasons, my alma mater plays Florida at the end of the year every year. But, you've got Clemson and South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, Louisville. So you're missing out on all those games. LSU won't be able to play Texas at the second week of the year. So that was disappointing because, those games are just so iconic, those rivalry games. And the ACC had kept the door open to play those games the day before the SEC made their decision. So I was kind of disappointed to hear about that because I think, people make an argument of, well, they can kind of control testing and stuff like that. And I don't think the end of the year games, when you're working with a league like the ACC, are going to be very different, their protocols, than yours. But I do understand the safety, and so I was disappointed to see it, but I understand the decision outside of that with non-cons and being able to control what you can control in the SEC, which is just something you have to do right now in COVID. It's what we have to control, what we can control, right? Coaches say that all the time when they get ready for games. The SEC is saying the same thing, and we can control what our teams in our league are doing. And some people have argued, well, is it a proximity thing? Is it a travel thing? I don't understand how a non-conference season is going to prevent COVID. And here's my answer to that is, well, it's not a travel thing because traveling to Tallahassee from Gainesville is a lot shorter than traveling up to Lexington, Kentucky.
Right. Good.
But I think it's this. You look at what Major League Baseball is doing right now with their pocket. No one in the West is going over to play any teams in the East. No one in the Central is going over to play anyone in the West. And so you see what happened with Miami and their outbreak there. Miami was able to shut down, and the rest of baseball was able to continue. There hadn't been any cross-contamination. Same thing with St. Louis. St. Louis has had some positives pop up. They've been able to take care of their business, but it hasn't affected any teams in the West. And so what I think they're looking at is, if something were to happen in college football where a team in the ACC or a team in the Big Ten gets COVID and they're going to have to shut down, and maybe it affects some other teams in that conference, and the conference can shut down, not necessarily college football, because again, they're in pockets. There is no cross-contamination of a Big 12 team playing an SEC team like Texas and LSU week 2, to where it's like, okay, well, now LSU has gone and played these games and Texas has gone and played these people. And where does the, contract tracing, where does that shut everything down? So we might see come fall, maybe a conference is going to have to shut down if COVID happens to spread throughout that conference in some games. Hope that doesn't happen. Obviously, no one wants that to happen. But then other leagues can continue to play. And so I think that was the logic behind that.
We here in Fayetteville, since Coach Pittman has got the job December 8th when he was announced as the head football coach, we hadn't had a chance to see on the field development. But what are some of the things, Alyssa, that has impressed you up to this point about Coach Pittman and that staff?
Well, I just think the way they've handled things. They've not only handled and continue to recruit at a high level, but they've been able to handle a very, a situation no one's ever been in. They're not the first staff that's ever had to, that they're not the first staff that has taken over a new program, but they're first brand new class that's taken over a program in the middle of COVID. And I think you can kind of just look at the way that they've gone about their business and kept everybody together. It seems like, again, you hear some reports, and again, they're just reports, I'm not pointing fingers, but Arkansas has seemed to handle their business well. Coach Pittman is there. He's engaged when he can be. You even see a guy like Dorian Gerald tweet, "Man, Coach Pittman loves his players."
Right.
And you didn't see stuff like that before. So I think that he's just quickly made an impact. And we who got to cover him the first time around as an offensive line coach knew we were going to see something like this. I don't necessarily know if we were going to see the relationship, the impact he's already made with players that aren't his own, that he didn't recruit at Arkansas so quickly.
Talking with Pig Trail Nation anchor, KNWA and KARK, Alyssa Orange. Alyssa, now let's flip over to a little good news that was received over in Bud Walton, as Coach Muss and that basketball staff got word on Sunday that Isaiah Joe would be back for his junior year. With the addition of Isaiah onto this roster, what's your expectation level for the basketball season this upcoming year?
Oh, that ceiling might not be on Bud Walton come the end of the year. That's how high my expectations are, right? But I mean, an announcement by Isaiah Joe on Saturday to come back to Arkansas. It was a decision that he had actually made the week prior and had let Musselman know that that's what he wanted to do. And kudos for them for kind of keeping it under wraps for a whole week. But man, I think I talked about this yesterday. Isaiah's talented, and he could easily have an argument for the preseason player of the year in the SEC, and the experience he has already having 59 starts under his belt. It's exciting. We've seen him just go off on a game with threes, and that's going to be exciting. But I think the biggest thing for this team is leadership, because they've got talent. It's not like Isaiah Joe comes in up and brings the talent level up super, super high. It's pretty high to begin with. Right. He just elevates it. So the leadership, I think, is going to be huge for this team. This is a kid who has been through the trenches in the SEC, has started since he was a freshman and knows what he's doing. So you've got these talented guys in these transfers who, when the game's on the line, you're looking at Isaiah Joe. When things are kind of going up and down, maybe the other team's going on a run, you look at Isaiah Joe to kind of calm things down. He's going to be that guy and that presence, and I can say that with 100% confidence. If Isaiah Joe hadn't come back, it's hard to say who that guy could have been.
Right.
I could have said it could have been Desi Sills, but I couldn't say that with confidence right now because we haven't seen anything from Desi yet.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing that is going to make Isaiah Joe's impact be felt the most, is just his presence on the court. The talent speaks for itself.
Right. Last two questions. Is this a Sweet 16 type of roster? And the last part, final win total for if we do have the football season, all 10 games. What's your win total for Coach Pitt in year one?
Okay. All right. So the first question you had was Sweet 16 team. Absolutely. I think this team could definitely get to the Sweet 16. You easily win 2 games in that first round and make your way to that Sweet 16 tier. I think it's definitely doable for this team. As for win totals, I'm going with 4. Put it down, mark it on the books. I think 4 wins. I think that you can beat a Mississippi State team, especially, and Mike and I have talked about this too, and Mike Irwin makes a good point. He talks about, with no fans, the atmosphere. Mississippi State's on the road, and might not be any cowbells for the first time ever.
That's a real good point.
Those atmospheres play into it, and it goes for Arkansas too at home. But I think you can beat Mississippi State. You're always close with A&M, and that could be a win. I think that you can beat, depending on who they have to play, I think you can beat, if it's South Carolina, I think you can beat a South Carolina team, and I think you beat Missouri.
That's good. No, I could give 4. I got 5. I was saying 5
Okay.
and 7. I'm staying in that 5. I think if they get 5 and 5 year, 6 and 4, Sam's up for National Coach of the Year without question. I mean, just without
Without question. Absolutely.
Well, hey, Alyssa, we're about to get back at it. But hey, congratulations on your new promotion. Well deserved. Hey, KNWA, they're in good hands, I know, on the sports side of things. But Alyssa, thanks for taking time out with us today on OTH.
Hey, it's great to hear from you, Pat. Can't wait to see you in person again.
All right.
It's been too long.
Yes, it has. That was KNWA, sports anchor of the Big Trail Nation, Alyssa Orange, and she made some really good points, D. Some really good points.
Yeah, I think that's why she got the job, man. She's excellent at what she does. She takes excellent observations of the game. You know, it's not too many women that you really hear from when it talks about football, but she's one that I really know understands the sport, really pays attention, does her homework, always on the stats. She travels. You know, I remember a game going to Ole Miss, and I had ran into her. So I love Alyssa. I'm so glad she's got that promotion.
Yeah,
I wish her well.
Great sports. She does a lot of thorough reporting, and like I said, they picked the right one. Congrats, Jason. You got it right, Jason Carroll. You got it right. I'm telling you. But we're gonna step away and let you hear more of that guy that came back for that year 3. But he wears number 1. Isaiah joined him when we come back. Our other friend from Northwest Arkansas Media, Scotty Borderland from the Arkansas Demgad. He's next up. This on the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a bit.
Thanks, Jose.
Yes, sir.
Good. Hey, Isaiah, congratulations to you, man. It's going to be fun watching you next year.
Thank you.
Ty?
Yeah, Isaiah, you mentioned telling Muss a week ago. I know that you were probably still badgered at every gas station, Walmart, wherever you walked in. Hey, you coming back? You coming back? You finally announced it on Saturday. Was it a sigh of relief when you finally got to tell the state that you were coming back?
Yeah, because now I feel like I can, sit back and focus on one thing only, and that's, this upcoming season. It's difficult not knowing whether you're going to go or come back, and making the decision, made it really easy. It was a sigh of relief, not just for me, but for the fans, the coaching staff, my family. Yeah.
So 2 years ago, when you were a freshman, Daniel was kind of the guy. Last year, Mason assumed that role. Do you think this year that you're going to be able to take that next step and be really the guy, the leader of this basketball team?
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the leadership. You got to be able to pick up that role. And me being a veteran, being here for this my 3rd year, 2nd year with Coach Muss, you got to lay down the ground rules. Let the freshmen and all the newcomers know the system, and me, Desi, and like we all know Coach Muss's system, and he really expects us to be the leaders on the court, make sure guys know what's going on at all times. But like I said, we have a lot of talent. So anybody, when it comes to playing games, anybody can do their thing at any time, because we have a really big roster spread.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Nate? Nate Allen, you're muted.
How about that? We're finally unmuted.
You're good to go. Yes, sir.
All right. Isaiah, just as far as your game, what do you feel you need to work on to improve your draft stock next year?
Welcome back to our Wednesday edition of Olden Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio on KDSJ 479, and we are joined for the final segment. But we got to say, this guy, he's been with us, Demetrius. He's rode with us for a long time. The people that know this guy, you can vouch for me, our listeners. So we're going to bring our good friend on him, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Talk a little hog. Scotty Borderland. Scotty B. What's up, man?
Good to finally talk to you guys again. It has been a long time. It's been too long.
Yes, it has. But we got word, Scotty, from the SEC last week that Arkansas football will be playing an in-conference 10-game schedule only. What say you and your feelings on that decision that came down from the SEC office?
Well, I'm kind of glad that there's a plan in place to play football. Like, I feel like right now we should be gearing up for the start of fall practice. I know yesterday that got pushed back 10 days to August 17th. Right. So it's good to know that there's a plan in place and that there, as of right now, that there's going to be some football. In terms of the schedule, Arkansas's not really had a whole lot of success playing SEC teams.
Good point.
The last few years, so that's tough. But I think it's an opportunity to, every week you got a chance to kind of change the way things have been. I'm curious. I'm going to be really curious to see who the other two SEC teams who are going to be added to Arkansas' schedule. There's some thought that those two teams could be. The schedule could be, the revised schedule could be released this week, and
right.
Maybe as early as today. Once we get that, I think we'll be able to, just really sit down and analyze, how many wins this team could come up with.
Scotty, what's impressed you since Sam Pittman was named the head football coach here in Fayetteville back on December 8th, I believe? I know we hadn't had a chance to watch Coach Pittman and his staff out in workouts, drills on football field related, but off the field, what stood out to this point heading into fall camp?
Yeah, I think as of right now, it seems like everyone seems to be on the same page. Like, even going back to when Sam Pittman went to the march on the Fayetteville Square, like his players, obviously he wanted to go out and support his players and support his family, or his players' families, and that was big. That's big, and kind of creating an atmosphere where everybody is on the same page. And just looking on Twitter, man, like you see guys like Dorian Gerald, just out of nowhere, just kind of saying, Sam Pittman really loves his players, and then you see another guy like Mike Woods just back up with Dorian Gerald saying, right. I think there's positivity within the program, and it seems like they're handling, they're kind of handling their business as far as like the COVID restrictions and the guidelines that they've been given to follow. So they're on the same page there. There's some good news that reportedly no one in the program tested positive, that's awesome. Because, I mean, you look around the country, man, there's schools all over who are pausing activities,
right,
for one reason or another. And I just think it's positive right now. It's positive. I think they can carry that into the start of football practice. I think they'll be, and you finally get a glimpse of what the schedule looks like. I don't know that there's room for a ton of optimism, but I think there's some positivity around the program.
We've got about 5 minutes, and I want to get over into basketball with you, Scotty. As a young man made a decision over the weekend that you covered back at his high school days at Northside. With that being Isaiah Joe, Scotty, you was at that high school from his sophomore to his senior year, and that covered him at the University of Arkansas the last 2 years going into his third year. Talk about that decision, and what does that mean for this basketball team heading into this upcoming 2021 basketball season?
It puts expectations at a level that they haven't been at in a while, and the excitement around the program is at a level that it also hasn't been at in a while. And I think this team, like, the expectations were going to be heightened regardless of whether Isaiah came back or not, just because I think the staff has recruited so many solid pieces. Like, you got a top 5 class coming in with a few guys that probably can make an impact, I think. And then I'm a really big fan of Vance Jackson and JD Note. I like those two guys, and even without Isaiah, I think they had a pretty solid roster with some depth.
Absolutely.
But Isaiah coming back gives you one of the premier perimeter shooters in the country, and team first guy who's, I think he's probably still underrated as a defender. He's proven that he's got pretty good defensive anticipation, and he's proven willing to sacrifice his body for the team. So that's a great place to start. You got your go-to guy back as soon as he announced that he was returning, and then you put all those pieces around him. I mean, it could be a pretty dangerous team. I know I've not been excited for basketball season like this in a long time.
Yeah, Musk got his hands full on trying to find a starting 5. I know 2 starters for sure that you can pencil in. That's just, and they're both from Arkansas, so we'll not name names, but they're both. Well, one of them you already know, Isaiah Joe. I can say his name.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I just put out a rotation projection for next season, and man, it was tough.
I bet.
From about Monday until about this morning to feel pretty confident with it, but things could obviously change on that action between now and then. But yeah, there's lots of weapons, lots of options.
Hey, this roster hadn't been this deep since the 93, 94, 94, 95, and the teams on the Mayday eras. I mean, this is a very talented basketball team. But I got two questions real quick before I let you go. Projection, is this a Sweet 16 basketball team, and win total if we have SEC football for Coach Pittman in year one?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I think expectations are probably why can't you get back to the Sweet 16? You know, I mean, you talk about all the weapons you got. You got an All SEC caliber shooting guard coming back. I think Vance Jackson, you know, if Musk can push the right buttons and keep him engaged on both ends, I think he could become one of the team's stars too. And then you got a guy like Desi, who's, you know, since the season ended, he's been training like crazy to become a guy that, you know, Musk can't afford to keep off the floor. The talent's definitely there. I fully expect this team to make the tournament, win a game or two. We'll have to see from there. You know, as far as the win total, nothing is telling me that I should go too high.
Right.
But I mean, I think it. You know, if Arkansas gets a favorable draw on those the two games that we're not certain of yet, then, you know, I can maybe see two or three. I think you got a decent chance with Ole Miss and Missouri.
Right.
And, you know, you could possibly draw Vanderbilt.
Right.
And maybe a team like South Carolina or Kentucky. So, you know, I would, as of right, if I had to bet, I would probably put the total at like maybe an over under at 2.5 right now.
Well, see, I had 5 and 7 with that, but that was before pandemic, kid. I still think if 5 and 5, 4 and 6, I think that is doable. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. There's a couple of games, and those two added games are really going to decide which way I go for my final win total. But Scotty, my man, we're gonna make this a weekly thing. I think you down for that, my man?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down.
Hey, welcome back to the show, and thanks for taking time out today, my man.
Yeah, anytime. You guys take care.
That was Scotty Borland of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and that's going to wrap up our show for today. We want to give a thank you to all of our guests. With that being said, Ava Ciola, 2022 guard out of Pennsbury, Pennsylvania, Pennsbury High School. She was just recently offered by Coach Neighbors in the neighborhood and had a lot of good things. Really interested, and I'm going to be watching that young lady and her decision for the next 2 years. I think Arkansas, with her relationship being, you know, with her dad and the love he has for the Hogs, that's going to be something you got to really look out for. And also, too, new Big Trail Nation anchor of KNWA and KARK, Alyssa Orange. I want to thank you. I want to thank her for taking time out. And the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette's Scotty Borland. I want to thank all our guests for taking time out and just sharing some of their thoughts here on OTH. Also, too, want to thank my producer, Demetrius Johnson. And finally, want to thank all of our sponsors that make this possible for us to bring this type of show to you each and every day. With that being said, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. That's Locomotion. They're located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and the last one, KDK's Chicken. They're down at 989 South Razorback Road. Get on down there, see Keith and Kathy, get some love. And like they say on the building, it's not your mama's. I'd say it's the best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there or beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken down at 989 South Razorback Road. But that's going to do it for us. Viewers, thanks for your viewership and all of your questions each and every day. We couldn't be who we are without you all, but that's going to do it for our Wednesday edition. We'll be back tomorrow. It's been On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one. You know what them final words are. Let's get it.